Okay, so welcome to the Law of One. I can't believe we're this far in the Evolve series of the various laws, which somehow, when I think of the words laws, it's sometimes better to think of them almost as the principles of the universe than the laws of the universe. So somehow, when we connect with the word principle, it actually brings us more to the 5D consciousness that we're talking about tonight. So how do we align with the principle rather than try and obey a law? Because there's no punishment if you don't obey the laws, but it's more about live your life according to these principles and things shift. So tonight we're going to be working with the law of one, or the principle of oneness, if we want to think of it that way. And it really is one of the highest frequencies of energy that we've got, the law of one. When it's spoken about in terms of the connection back to the Atlantean times, the law of one was the only law that existed in the Atlantean at the peak of the Atlantean times. And that's because it pretty much encompasses so much of the other aspects we've been talking about. It encompasses karma, it encompasses intention, which we'll be doing a bit more of when we do the law of decree. It encompasses responsibility, it encompasses love, it encompasses many aspects. So the law of one is probably one of the laws that is the most, I don't want to set the frame that it's most complicated to get, but it's probably the most complicated one to live, because we all have people that irritate us, and those are the ones we need to connect with often the most in terms of the law of one, which I'll talk about a little bit more tonight. Okay, so if you'd like to say hello using the chat box, please feel free to do that. And as we go through it, there'll be chances to connect, but otherwise feel free to reflect and share and use the chat box as a way of staying engaged and connected to what we are doing. I think many of you have met each other, so you're familiar. There's Cheryl saying hello. So I'm going to get started there, so you should all be able to see that. I'm just going to make sure that this is pinned for the video. And then we've got some space here. Okay, so as a starting point tonight, given that we're all connected, and the fact that you're all online here tonight is a reflection of the connection that you have on a frequency and a soul level. You wouldn't be here if you weren't connected in some way. Is instead of connecting in and telling us how you are doing tonight, what I'd like you to do is to connect in and offer a wish you have for everybody else that's on the call tonight, or generally somebody who watches this going forward. So if you think of something, you say, my wish for all is, and so single again, law of one, single again. Cheryl, you're very funny. I love your sense of humor. So to connect in and say, my wish for all is. So take a minute and really get quiet and intentional with that, and get a little bit connected to what would be a great wish for all. And I'd like you to all start off tonight with sharing that on the chat box. My wish for all is. And just to start noticing what comes up. My wish for all is. Margot says, my wish for all is awareness. So you can receive that from Margot. I wish for you all a daily magic and miracles, says Marie. I wish for all is to everyone see the way ahead clearly. Beautiful. My wish for all is to grow, expand, and connect. My wish for all is love. Love. It's in capital letters. I have to. Love. I'm with you, Linda. My wish for all is love. My wish for all is for everyone to feel peace. Cheryl, I love it. The ability to view yourself with humor and laugh. For all to connect with the collective consciousness. Margot is adding and connection, so awareness and connection. So what's beautiful as you start to do that is you can start to notice that that is probably your wish for yourself at this point as well. Is as we reflect on what we wish for others is what we are wishing for ourselves. And as we start to engage with that energy, is that as I start to embrace what I am wishing for others, to start to connect that with myself, is to actually shift that, is I offer to myself the thing that you've wished for everyone else. So if you want to, you can put that out in words as well, because words have very powerful frequencies, is that I offer myself, in Margot's words, it would be awareness and connection. I offer myself a connection to the collective consciousness. I offer myself a view of humor. And so as we start to wish for others and we offer for ourselves, we start to really engage with this energy of the law of one, and really starting to notice that. So if I wish someone harm, I'm offering that to myself too. If I'm wishing someone love, I can offer that to myself too. And so we start to have this really beautiful connection point between how we project ourselves into the world and how we receive ourselves back in the world. And next week we'll be working with the law of abundance, which essentially is a big mirror. The law of abundance is like one big mirror back to you of what's going on in your life. You'll see a lot more of that next week. But in this, it's starting to notice the connection we have between ourselves and each other and the world and so on and so forth. So we're going to start off, as always, just connecting in with the card, and take a minute to reflect on the card for the law of one and notice what stands out for you, notice what you become aware of, what's the message that this card has for you tonight as we just drop into connecting into this space and time. So you can take a minute, and if you want to share once you have something that comes up for you, you can share it. Oh, that's beautiful. What you appreciate appreciates. It's such a beautiful way with words, Cheryl. I wish all that. What's the message this card is giving you? You will notice it's slightly different to some of the others. If anybody wants to speak, you're more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, you can just start typing up the message that's coming up for you from the card. Clive says to transform. Margot, attraction and connection. There's your awareness and connection to source and life energy. So how they're all moving towards this central point, I imagine. Anybody else got anything coming up for you? So this card, firstly, you'll notice a couple of things. Firstly, we have more than one dragonfly supported together. So you'll see that there's this power of three, and we're going to talk about the power of three, the fact that there's a connection. The symbol jumped out. Marie's got the connection with sacred geometry. Sugar drops on the plate, power of three, yeah? Symbol power of three. So we've got this three energy. So of all the cards that we've drawn for the laws, there's only two cards that have more than one dragonfly on it. And that's the law of karma and the law of one. The law of karma's got two people, and it's got the two people, two dragonflies. That's the one with the yin yang symbol. And the rest have all got one. So the Merkaba, which is the sacred geometry symbol you see in the background, the Merkaba, I'll talk about quite a bit later on. You'll see the connection to that and unity. I love sugar drops on the plate, so all these little pink things. All the wings are up. Okay, that's beautifully noticed, yeah. Okay, so we're going to play quite a lot with this, and you'll see there's a gentleness to this card. There's not a harshness. There's no dark colors. There's this very gentle, there's a lot of the magentas, the pinks. It's very pink energy, which is going to bring you to a heart-centered experience. And the Merkaba is the symbol for the heart chakra in the 5D consciousness. So as we start to work with that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the heart chakra, and not the heart chakra that's in the 3D consciousness, the heart chakra and the expanded heart chakra that exists in the 5D consciousness that we're talking about tonight. So the law of one is a very, very, very powerful law. The law of one is the energy of connection. It really, truly, simply states that we are all connected. That every single being, every single movement, every single thought, every single life force, every essence of life on earth is connected in a magical network of love and light. And this network of connection of love and light, and how we use that, and similarly how we can break ourselves to feel like we're separate from it. So we're never truly separate from that connection, but we can feel like we are separated from it. And the idea of feeling like I'm separated from it is an illusion, because you're always plugged into this network that we are all connected. The statement says that I see me in you and you in me. Now, let's just play around with that. Is, if you think about that a little bit, is everything I see in you is in me too. Every time I see you, I see myself. That gets really, really interesting when we start to notice everything I love about you exists in me too. And everything I do not like about you exists in me too. And when we start to really allow ourselves to drop into that level of complexity, is the law of one is often a law that's very easy to notice a beautiful butterfly flying past and say, I can see the beauty in that. I can see the fragility in that. I can see the light in that. I can see the transformation in that. Everything that exists in that exists in me too. But when I see a lion chasing after a buck and eating it, I don't want to see that in me. I want to distance myself from that. If I see a person that I really enjoy, I see a Mother Teresa, I can see that in me. But let us look at a Hitler. And how do I see that in me? So learning to notice the reflection into the group consciousness and how we work with what I see in you and what I see in me and how I connect with that is really a very interesting and deepening way of allowing yourself to drop into the heart of spirituality. Because just because I see it in you does not mean I've activated it. Just because I don't like it in you does not mean it needs to stay in shadow. Just because it exists doesn't mean it needs to stay there. So we've got all the law of detachment, the law of flow, the law of karma, all the things that have come before this very point that absolutely align with that too. And so when I see something, what I want to do with it starts to become the important bit. Do I want to avoid it, ignore it, shift it, love it? What do I want to do with it? So Cheryl says, Merkaba to the heart. I commissioned an art piece with that inclusive as its focus. Oh, beautiful. You are the reflection of the you in me. Yeah, exactly right, Marco. Cheryl says no moustache. I assume we're talking about Hitler there. And to see that we're all from the same source. So I often get asked the question, is there such a thing as an evil soul? And the answer is no. We all come from source. We all come from divinity. And from a 5D consciousness, we no longer have polarity thinking. We don't have light and dark. We don't have good and bad. We don't have anything. And the connection to our source, to our spirit, is above the 5D consciousness. Polarity thinking happens from a 4D consciousness down. It exists as an earth playground tool. It's essentially the reason we come to earth, is to learn about this experience of polarity. But all souls that are connected at a very high, a much higher frequency, do not live in the right and wrong and good and bad. And so we all really connect back to the same source of light and love. So the law of one asks us to do a couple of things. The first thing it asks us to do is accept our own divinity. The only way you can truly live in the absolute openness to the law of one is when you see that you are source. You are the universe, you are God, you are divinity, you are whatever belief system you want to, is that God or divinity or the universe is not outside of you, it's within you. And that you're a divine being of light experiencing this lifetime. And that seems to be a much harder thing for people to believe. It's often, in many of the readings I do, it's the separation from myself, in the idea that God or divinity or universal source is outside of me. And I need to get to that. I need to pursue something. I need to do something to be connected to that. You don't need to. It's existed within you all the time. And it's the connection to source within you. It also asks us to accept everyone and everything as they are, without judgment, including yourself. So I'm going to say that again. The law of one asks you to accept everyone and everything as they are or as it is, without judgment, including yourself. So that's a big line. It's not the easiest thing for us to do, is to take everything that exists in the world the way it is and say, it is the way it is. And I accept it, I embrace it, I allow it, and I own it. And with that, that's the law of surrender. It's the law of grace. It's the law of flow. Even Trump, Angela. Even Trump. Because remember, it doesn't say to keep it that way. What I mean by that is that only once it's embraced and allowed can we bring an alchemy of transformation to it. So when we look at the law of grace and the law of faith and the laws that have come before this, the law of vibration, as we then apply grace to that, we apply the alchemy of love to that, we apply all the things to it, then we can start to bring miracles to it and transformation to it. But if I assume it is wrong and it should not be and it doesn't belong and it's with judgment, I am separate from it and I have no ability to transform it. So age-old thing that many of you will know is that you can't sit on the sidelines and complain. Either get involved in the game or don't. So how do you get involved? Is you have to play the game. You have to be part of. And to be part of, you need to embrace all the aspects of it. So this is a complicated law, because your mind's going like, but it's wrong. People shouldn't be doing that stuff. It's not right. And whilst your mind may be accurate in those statements, it still is there. And so what created it, and what's feeding it, and what's colluding with it, and what's allowing it to exist, and how does it shift, become very important energies. So if we take these figures that we do not like, let's use Trump because Angela's brought it into the room, is what is in him that you need to see in yourself. And that's a big question. It's not always easy to answer. So fundamentally, the law of one is about overcoming all barriers to love. So the law of one is about overcoming all barriers to love. In the 5D consciousness, when we talk about the heart center and we talk about the law of one and the law of love, we essentially are connecting with an energy of sacred community. That within a community, there's a level of care, that there's a level of compassion and holding each other accountable to a standard that we collude with as one. And when we look at community kind of living, communities that thrive through connection to the earth and connection to nature, connection to each other, connection to life, connection to a way of navigating life as in a communal sense. This is the law of one in action. Now, one of the things that we do not live in completely is a law of, is communities. We've somehow lost that. We have smaller communities. We almost have tribes. And tribes, my tribe versus your tribe versus that tribe versus, and the tribes are at war with each other. In the sort of sense of comparison and fighting, but the communal living, the community that needs to connect across tribal grounding, across tribal warfare, across culture, across religion, across race, across belief system, across all ideals, is bringing together a sense of community. And once we've got a community mindset is one that says, I care for you like I care for me. And so the law of one really asks us to start looking at our own ideas of scarcity, of competition, of fear of those different to ourselves, of how do we bring those that we fear into our community? How do we bring those that we judge into our community? There's an amazing Catholic priest, I can't think of her name now, but I'll find it if anybody wants me to, but she's tattooed like you can't believe. She's a Catholic priest. A priest, I think it's Catholic, if I remember correctly now. And her church is open to all those that no other church will take. And not in the place of fixing you, not in the place of redeeming you from your sins, in the place of you're welcome just as you are. And in that you're welcome just as you are, there's a place of community, there's a place of connection, there's a place of compassion, and a place of love. And I'm going to state it again, just as you are. Not come here so I can help you and fix you and make you better. And those of you that we're working with the law of detachment and some of the other laws that we've been working with, the law of non-interference, which was a big law for many of you that have been doing the program as a whole, is how do we accept what is in each of us as come as you are. I will love you as you are. I talk to many healers and I always say you fall in love with potential more than reality. And most of us that are healers, we see the possibility of who people could be. And we invest so much energy in fixing it. Come as you are. You'll be loved as you are. You're welcome as you are. And imagine turning that to the voice you say in the mirror. I love you as you are. You're welcome as you are. Because the minute that happens, healing can happen. And the minute healing can happen, transformation can happen. And so we need to stop chasing after a better version of ourselves and embrace with compassion and connection as we are, so that we can heal and move forward in a place of love. And you'll start to notice for yourself your own challenges with this law. The parts of you going like, sounds a little bit too simple, firstly, and like, seriously. Have you seen some of the people out there, Taryn? Like, seriously. Well, the truth is, come as you are. You're always welcome as you are. And that is what true love is. The love of divine source, in the true unconditional sense that it is come as you are. You are welcome as you are. You are loved as you are. Not as you should be. So let's just pause there and see if anybody's got any thoughts coming up, or any questions or insights or awarenesses. You're more than welcome to use the chat box, but if you'd like to speak, you're welcome to. But you'll start to notice how the law of one triggers a lot for many of us. Yeah. Come as you are. So when we start to go a little bit deeper into the law of one, we can start to look at the statement that many of you will know. This is not new, but worth interrogating or connecting with as we start to explore the law of one. And the as above, so below. So that means as in heaven, so on earth, as on earth, so in heaven. And this talks a lot around the astral plane. Those of you that are doing Lifting the Veil, we've spoken a lot around the upper and lower astral planes and how that is a reflection of the games we play on earth. As above, so below also talks about our shadow, that which we have as an expression. Yeah, this is the way we present ourselves. And what do we hide away? What's hidden in the cobwebs? What are all in the shadows? And so secrets are a toxic energy. It exists for all of us. Secrets bring us to a place of separation. Interestingly enough, 2020 being the year of vision, the year of clarity, 2020 seeing, is secrets are being exposed. Everything is coming out of the cobweb, so to speak, so we can see it to deal with it. As above, so below. What is in your shadow that you do not want to embrace? Then we've got as within, so without, and that's my inner game and my outer game. If we look at the world around us, and I said the law of abundance next week, we'll see it's like a big mirror, is that what we've created on earth is a reflection of what's going on within us. The amount of war is a reflection of the amount of internal war that we have going on within us. We're not at peace internally. Our mind and our heart and our body and our spirit is often at war. We fight with ourselves all day. The chaos outside of us is a reflection of the chaos within us. And if we shift it around, the more cluttered my environment, the more cluttered my energy field. And so we have this relational aspect of what's going on inside us and outside us. So we shift the inside, we can shift the outside. Similarly, we shift the outside, we can shift the inside. So both are available to us. I'm just letting Leanne into the group. And as the universe, so the soul. And that is really just taking us to a very, very big place of everything that exists within the universal consciousness you have access to within your soul. So there's no divine wisdom that you do not have access to. Whether you use it or not, whether you connect with it or not, that's a whole different story. But as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul, really asks us to take full accountability of the whole. And more importantly, to embrace the magic within ourselves. The amount of power we have to shift life, shift and create change, is everything that I do within impacts without. Every time I bring something from below, it shifts it to above. And when I allow my soul to be connected to the universal consciousness, which is much higher, by the way, than group consciousness, then I'm able to be this being of light that I am. That I just am, and stop myself from being. So this law is not a frivolous law. It's a law that requires a real willingness to go deep. And come as you are, and then explore who you are. Be who you are, share who you are, express who you are, and then through the power of compassion and kindness and mercy and love, we are able to integrate that into our hearts. And as we integrate that into our hearts, it's alchemized into a place of love and can transform. So how do you explain integration of you come as you are and stay as you are, disallowing evolving? So say a little bit more, Cheryl. If you're willing to come online, you can speak through it if it's easier. If you can find your mute button, there you go. Oh, I still can't hear you. Can anybody else hear Cheryl? Oh, I can't hear you. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. How do you explain then, if you come as you are and you stay as you are, without any change or growth, how can that then allow you to evolve?
So I don't know that. So the come as you are, stay as you are, express who you are. What I mean by stay as you are is not stay over a period of time. Stay here, just stay present to it. Just stay expressing it. And then it can integrate into the heart. And when we bring love and compassion and mercy to it, there's a softness that happens that allows an alchemy. And that alchemy allows a possibility for something new to emerge. But when we say you shouldn't be who you are, you're bad, you're wrong, all those things, interestingly, that brings the stuckness and it brings the pervasiveness over time. But when it's witnessed and loved, and there's a space for it, there's an alchemy that allows that to shift. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, this does not mean putting up with people treating you badly. Yeah? There is, when I say come as you are, I'm not saying come and live in my house and steal my food and do all my things and all these sorts of things. There's boundaries to the way I will be treated. But within the ambit of the energetic presence to things, that I will honor and respect and cherish you in this. But it doesn't mean you need to live in my house necessarily. So there is a challenge for many of us with this in terms of making sure that we're not taken advantage of. Because when we allow ourselves to be disrespected and we allow ourselves to be hurt, we allow ourselves to be abused or hurt in any way, that's not an act of self-love. And so we've got that as within, so without. And we need to heal that we need to shift to come as I am, and I first heal myself and love myself. So this is a complicated law. This is a law that requires a deep amount of willingness to notice the relationship between what's going on the outside and what's going on the inside. And what's going on around me. What is going on that I'm hiding things. And so it is a real law of bringing everything into oneness. It means that it all is part of, and that we can start to bring it all together rather than keep it all separated. So this idea that we are one, and we were talking, I mean, some of you have brought up some names. We are one. You're one with every single other human being that exists on the planet. And at this time, this place, each one of us is here on purpose. We contracted to come to Earth at this point in time. And we are truly part of the group consciousness of Earth. We collectively own the responsibility for what is happening on Earth. We collectively are part of the possibility. We collectively are part of how we communicate and how we communally live with each other. The idea that we are separate, the idea that you are separate from me, is an illusion based on the fact that physically we live we experience life in different physical bodies, and I'll talk more about that now. And so when we say we are one, we don't mean we are physically all the same. It means we are one in terms of the source of possibility of where we come from. We are one in our pain. We are one in our love. You also have to notice that, is that every single human being is someone's child. Every single human being is someone's friend, hopefully. Every single human being has a connection to life that, you know, has complexities of death and pain and love and people. And so we have a similarity in this. We have a oneness in this. And we are one with all souls, whether they come black, white, male, female, etc., etc. The well-known butterfly effect is what happens in one place in the world impacts somewhere else. And so as we are doing something in one aspect of the world, so there's shift and change in other aspects of the world. What's very interesting is Africa energetically is on a platform of quartz. And we are also known energetically as the solar plexus of Earth and the solar plexus of the universe. Solar plexus is all about power and healing power dynamics. So every time we in Africa build bridges and community and connect and, you know, form ways to have peaceful revolution, we actually impact the entire world with that consciousness and that energy. And so really starting to notice the mind's need to keep us separate by looking at what's physical and saying the body is separate to me, so I don't see anything that's the same. And to notice, when you meet another human being, do you look for what's different? Do you look for what's the same? I'm constantly flabbergasted in the sense of every single time I do a reading, I see a piece of me in every single person that I connect with. It's almost disturbing to me sometimes how clearly I can see myself in each person I work with. That's the work of spirit that brings that forward, that shows that's the aspect of myself in them, and that's the aspect of them in me. But when you look from a mistrusting, scarce, competitive, comparative place at others, you are going to see how they are a threat to you, how they are different to you. Are they taking your stuff? Are they more clever than you? Are they prettier than you? Are they doing stuff you haven't done yet? And so when I look at you, if I look at you through the lens of comparing myself to you, competing with you, feeling like there's not enough for both of us, and wanting to be in a place that's different to the place either of us are at, then we go to war with each other. Energetically, we're now combating. We're not connecting. And this is a real challenge in the world. You go to places of work and everybody is competition. Everybody is a threat. Don't take my money, don't take my stuff. We build walls and we build up bridges, big ways of keeping people separate from us. We live in communities that then tribes that we then look at other tribes and say they're the dangerous ones. We live in a society that has patriarchally looked at the split of masculine and feminine. And we're still doing it. We're just trying to do it the other way around now, in many ways. And we live in a capitalist world where the mind has really created bosses and workers, those with money and those without. So I don't look at the person standing on the side of the road as the beggar and see myself in them. I see everything I fear becoming. I just hope I'm never like them. I feel sorry for them, shame. I feel guilty about what I have. But do you see the beggar in you? Do they see the possibility of a different life in you? So when we look with envy and jealousy, when we look with comparativeness and competition, when we look with a way of saying what's wrong, we don't find ways of connecting and unifying. And the mind is programmed to look for what's different. That is where skeptical minds work. The heart is programmed to look at what's the same. There was a study done around beggars on the side of the road. And there was a guy who did a lot of work with them. And I was listening to a talk that he did the one day, and he said, without a doubt, one of the things that all the people on the side of the road said is their biggest pain is nobody looked them in the eyes. They looked away. So they were constantly never seen, because we don't want to see. We feel guilty. We don't want to do. And it's not even about whether we give money or don't give money. It's about, do we treat them as equal? And so equality has got a lot more to do with the experience of compassion and care and seeing the human being that is in front of us rather than comparing ourselves to them. That is the same with anyone where we look at them in a place of authority or class and we see them through that lens rather through the lens of sameness as me. And equality has all got to do with sameness as me. Now, what I found profoundly and utterly fascinating is coronavirus has made that very, very, very real. Because it doesn't matter who you are or where you are in the world, you are impacted by this one thing that we're all going through together. Whether you like it, don't like it, whether you have conspiracy theories around it or not, whatever your belief system is around it, that's irrelevant. The point is, every single human being is impacted by it. Every single human being is impacted, and it's contagious. It's contagious in that we can spread. And so we truly start to notice, when you just look at the curves, you start to notice how connected we are, how many people you can spread stuff to. Now, the most contagious thing we have on earth is love. So we can start to spread love. We start to truly own the network of connection we have. And if I spread love and compassion and the vibration of peace, I can start to call tidal waves around that. And so a lot of what's happening with coronavirus is a lot of calling us to pay attention to how connected we are, rather than how separate we are. And it's a real challenge, this, a real challenge we're going through. The coronavirus or COVID-19, the pandemic that we're in, as an energetic disturbance on the planet, is splitting between 3D consciousness and 5D consciousness. And the 5D consciousness of spreading love and the 3D consciousness of spreading fear. Do I spread separation, anxiety, anger, fear? Do I spread compassion, love, connection? It's my fellow man. And truly notice how connected we are and how we need to start living as communities that care for each other. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts, please feel free to come on, So the law of one starts to ask us to pay attention to this network we live in, this very, very powerful network, where every single human being across the planet is connected in some way, shape, or form to the central source of love. A very limited picture, but I love the movie Avatar, and if you've ever reflected on the movie Avatar, when you see all the connection points where they connect into each other, and that lovely scene in the movie, those of you that have seen it, where they all connect into Iowa, into the tree, and they all sit in the unified dance of energy that we have, is when we work collectively as one, we can do amazing stuff. Now let's break that down to something very simple. I watched a meme the other day, and it was called, it's very simply named, "It's Not Hard to Be a Good Human." And what it was is that as somebody had been going along the street and they were on a sort of motorbike, but it was very packed, clearly somewhere in India or somewhere like that, where they had a whole lot of stuff on their bike. They were knocked over. They were fine, but all the goods they were carrying just spread across the entire road, and the road just became just chaos. And you saw for a minute everybody just sitting there looking at this, and then one person got up and started picking up the stuff and packing it back in. And within a couple of seconds, somebody else came and started helping pack it. And if you watched it, within half an hour, 30 odd people had arrived and all cleaned it up, packed this person back up, and got them back on their bike. It's not hard to be a good human being when you get involved, when you care. It was raining I think it was about 18 months ago, and Eric, my partner, and I were driving down the road. It was pouring with rain. It had been raining for about 2 days. And we drove down the road, and there had been a tree had knocked into the road, and there was a huge piece of the tree that had broken off was in the road. And as we drove past it, I said, "Oh, that is so dangerous. Someone should do something about that." And within a second, Eric had pulled off the road and got out the car in the pouring rain and went and pulled the trunk out of the road and moved it to the side of the road. I think by the time I even knew what was happening, he was back in the car. And I said to him, "And now?" He says, "Well, why can't I be the someone? You can't just drive past things and go, someone should fix that. Someone should do that." Be the someone. Be the someone that shifts things to make the world the place you want to live in. Because if we do this without regard for, is it my job or isn't it, or am I going to get rewarded or am I not, or what is it that I need to do, we truly start to live in a place of community, of witnessing and come as you are and I will sort it out with you. We'll do what we need to do. Exactly right, Cheryl. Exactly right. So we need to start noticing how networked and connected we are, and that owning that connection that I have with life. A beautiful story, I'll give you another one because these are the beautiful, practical, simple stories of the law of one. Is there was an old man and he was cutting the lawn outside his home, and he kept going down the road, and somebody said to him, you do know that's not your lawn to cut. He says, I look at it every day, I see it every day, I can cut it. And he was just carrying, it's the communal law. And you see a piece of paper in your neighbor's yard, and you walk past it, you can pick it up. These are simple acts that embrace the law of one at the heart of it. Is that I'm not looking for validation, recognition, or responsibility. It's mine or not mine. I care for the community. I care for my community. And my community is wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. So when we start to look at this, we start to see this community of people that are connected in strange and unifying ways, in 5 degrees of separation. That's beautiful, hey Nadine, that my community is wherever I am. 5 degrees of separation is there's always somebody in this. And it doesn't matter whether I think I'm connected or not, I'm always connected to everyone, really, if I go back through the source of love. So we need to start understanding that as human beings, we are complex, we're quite unique. So whilst we're all connected and we look the same here, in the uniqueness that is me, I have a physical body that is different to yours. I have a skin color that is different to yours. I have a feminine or masculine experience to me that is different to yours. I have a weight that's different. I have different hair color. Everything about my physical appearance gives me a unique way of being able to know that is you. It gives us sort of a way of accessing attention, that I can give you attention because now I can see it's you, or I can feel it's you, because you are in a different physical experience to me. I have a different emotional experience to you because I've gone through different pain, karmas, and wounds through my life. But we all at the heart of it have the same emotional bodies that we can work with. But I have different memories, and I may fear rejection where you fear loneliness. It doesn't matter. We all have fear. It may not be the same ones. We all have hope. We all have love, but they are different. And so that difference gives me the opportunity for my personal healing, for my karmic wounds, and for my own growth and evolution. And the more that is witnessed and loved and treated with care, the more that I can experience it. And we all have our own mental experience of the world. We have a mental body that is our mind and our ego. Our ego is the way we present ourselves. Our mind is our tool for creation. It's the tool for thinking, of deciding, of evaluating, of being informed. The mental body should not be in charge of the 4 bodies, but it is there and it is different. I think differently to you. This is useful. 1 + 1 is 3 when we put minds together. My thoughts, your thoughts, we can create something amazing, provided we're not judging and fighting each other on our thoughts. And then we all have our own spiritual connection. What that means is we all believe in something slightly different. We may all, there's a beautiful meme that says we're all walking each other home, whether it's Jesus, Allah, Buddha, whoever it is, but we're all trying to seek meaning and hope. We're all trying to find a connection and meaning in our lives. And then we've got this essence of I am, which is the connection. And that essence of I am is the way that we connect back to source. It's the holding it all together. And so the law of one is this is the same. That's why we've got namaste. Spirit in me honors the spirit in you. It's this part. Whilst these are unique manifestations, this is the part that is connected to all. And so in essence, if we take this picture, we're all these little souls running around trying to do our job. And we've got all these points of connection that are the same. And so we've got this paradox that truly starts to exist now, that we have to really, really, really drop into our own heart and notice this complexity of your uniqueness is brilliant. Your mind, body, heart, and spirit is just such a magical creation that is not the same as me. But through the connection of all of that, you connect back to me because we have a commonality in the sense that we're all here to learn, and we're all here to grow, and we're all here to love, and we're all here to perform this life. And so we don't need to lose our identity. We don't need to lose our individuality. What we need to do is value ourselves in that individuality and contribute it to the greater good. So that sense of selflessness that says I must ignore every aspect of my own unique talents and gifts and thoughts and ideas, that is not what the law of one is about. The law of one says, bring yourself fully to the party. Come as you are. And then contribute, connect in, participate, belong, work with, heal, transform, communicate, connect. Don't hide away. Don't disappear. Don't become invisible. Please participate fully. Show up in the uniqueness of you and contribute. And so as I was channeling this workshop today, they gave me 4 metaphors that represent what we're talking about here. And so I'm going to ask you to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4 at this point. So you can put it on the chat box, whether you choose 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, as the one that resonates with you. And we're going to see as I go through those, there'll be a specific message for you. You can get from all of them. 4, 4, 4. I love it. See, 4 is Marie. Okay, maybe I just don't know. I can just ignore 1, 2, and 3. 4 is Lana. How fascinating. Let's just see who else. Give everybody a chance to connect in with it. So these 4 different metaphors are ways that we can think about this complexity of valuing my individuality while still contributing to the whole. And they're going to be very simple metaphors. They're not going to be ones you don't know and haven't seen before, but the ones that come, we like the biggest blocks is like, oh, big must be better. I don't know if that's true. You would expect everyone to go for 3, says Maria. I'm not sure why, Maria. Oh, because of the law of 3. All right, let's see. So you can have a look at these. And I'm going to talk through all of them and see how the metaphor works for you. And you can get messages from all 4, but many of you have chosen 4. So number 1 is often the law of 1 is described as, imagine this beautiful rug that is woven together. Now, if you've ever seen somebody weaving a rug, you will know the depth of complexity that goes into every single strand that is put in exactly the right place. And through this complex art of weaving different colors and threads and styles together, you get these most magnificent carpets and rugs that are often just used as beautiful sources of creativity, but often, you know, obviously can also be used for warmth and for, you know, decorating your home and for all the parts that go into making a house a home. Now, if we have a look at this rug, and let's imagine every strand or color is a unique contribution to life. Let's imagine every single person on this call is one of these colors. Let's take one of them away. We'll just pull that color out. We'll just take out all the orange. I'm just going to pull it out. We're left with something that is dysfunctional. We're left with something that is incomplete. And so the idea that within the law of one, we can only create that beautiful complex carpet when everything has its contribution to it. And no matter how small, there can be tiny colors in here in various places here, it still contributes to it. The next metaphor, which is 2, is that we're like this puzzle. I don't know if any of you have ever done a puzzle, and when you get to the end, you don't have the last piece. The puzzle just is incomplete. If we think of ourselves as individual pieces of a magical puzzle that we just do not know how it will put it together. If you look at this puzzle piece by itself, if you imagine there's a picture on here, when you look at the puzzle piece, you often don't know what it belongs to, what it's about. Only when it's put next to the others does it start to actually become alive to the possibility of what it is. The piece by itself is useful. The piece with others is magical. And so a big part of our lives is learning, who do we connect in with? Who are our partners? Who are the people that are soul contracts that bring us back to the magic of ourselves? But without your piece of the puzzle is incomplete. Number 3 is a beautiful mosaic, a stained glass window. I love this picture with the light coming through. So this is from a church, I think in Paris. There's a beautiful stained glass window, and every aspect of a stained glass window is this tiny piece, this kaleidoscope. But imagine we just take one of these things out. It just doesn't work. So this whole idea of the whole can only be magical when all the pieces contribute and play their part well. And the one most of you chose is if I was looking for an orchestra, but I couldn't find a nice enough picture of an orchestra that showed all these different dynamics. So I found this very magical picture of these kids practicing. Is think of an orchestra or a band or a musical show. Not one instrument is better than the other. The harmony is important. The connection is important. But every single note played by every single person is an important contribution to the whole. And whatever your talents are, whatever your gifts are, it's important. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have something to offer. So there's no point in hiding away your talents from the world. There's no point in playing small, because you're holding everybody back. You're holding the whole consciousness back. So the law of one requires each person to step into their grace, into their talents, into their gifts, into their work, and share it, and knowing that it's not the same as others, but it's needed. Cheryl, what's your beautiful thing? The rose window of stained glass. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. So you can have a look at these metaphors, and many of you chose 4, and maybe you needed to hear the message, stop hiding your gifts from the world. You're born to shine, and we can only all expand when we all play our part. When we sing our song, we make our notes, we live into the truth of ourselves. And so the law of one requires us to be fully invested in ourselves. And that's the ultimate paradox, is you have to be completely invested in yourself to be participating in the law of one. So if we go back to this little picture of all these souls running around this heart, and we start to look about, okay, so how can we connect to this? How do we create a place of connection through this law of one? And the answer lies in a thing called the Merkaba. And the Merkaba you'll see on the card, on the dragonfly card, as the symbol behind here. And the Merkaba, you'll see it here looking more like the Star of David. Many of you have heard of the Merkaba before, but for those of you where it's brand new information, or maybe you need a reminder, the Merkaba is essentially our expanded energy body. So if you think of the 3D aura is sort of seen as a circular energetic field behind us. The 5D aura transforms into a Merkaba field, and it looks more oval in shape but spins. Merkaba means light, spirit, body. It's the connection of, and this is the power of three, the light, the spirit, and the body that come together. The Merkaba is also called a star tetrahedron. And essentially what it is it's two triangle pyramids, one pointing up and one pointing down. You can see it on this image here, of a pyramid that goes above you and a pyramid that goes below you. And essentially what happens with the Merkaba is we have these two spinning pyramids. They spin in opposite directions. And in spinning in opposite directions, they create a vortex of light that becomes a vehicle of traveling across time and space. And it's a way of your energy moving with you through time and space. Like the yin yang, there's an integration of the male and the female energy. The pyramid that is pointing up, that starts at your knees. So think of, you can connect with your knees right now. And so imagine the base of the pyramid, this base here, if you were standing up, would be at your knees, and it's going to go up to a couple of feet above your head. That is the male pyramid. It represents the masculine energy, and it connects you to Father Sky, connects you to heavens. And then we've got a pyramid that starts at our shoulders and moves down a couple of feet below our feet, and that is the feminine, the connection to Mother Earth, to Gaia, and to Hollow Earth. Those of you that did with Archangel Sandalphon in the Law of Faith, we were talking about Hollow Earth, and we've been talking about activating your Earth Star chakra. And so you would have seen it on this picture here, looking more like the Star of David. And you've seen this image a lot through life. The Star of David is a two-dimensional Merkaba. And you'll see the connection to the as above, so below. And the Merkaba is the connection back to source. And so when we fully activated our Merkaba, we allow ourselves to live in the fluidity of our energy. We don't believe in our own smallness and our own staticness. We step into the magic of the knowing that we are one. And as my energy moves with source, your energy moves with source, and that connection point intermingles and creates a connection between you and I. The fluidity of energy at a 5D consciousness is different to a staticness of energy at a 3D consciousness. So in a 3D consciousness, we have this aura that is quite static according to our patterns of behavior. The Merkaba, once activated, can really help you transform your energy. So you have a receptivity to it because it's a connection to source. And so you can live in a receiving. It's a receptacle and a transformer. You can move and receive through it. And so the Merkaba is an activation of light source within you. And that is what we are going to be working with tonight in the meditation, is working with the Merkaba. And when we start to notice that each human being that we meet is a representation of ourselves, and that essential I amness that I was talking about at the center of us connects us to this energetic source around us, we are able to participate in engagements with other souls. And this is where we start finding our soul family and start working with our soul sisters and brothers in ways that we never have had to have met them. You don't have to have met them physically at all, but you can create communities of light across the world. When Donald Trump was appointed, I had somebody very traumatized phone me and asked, what's our job? And I said, to create networks of light across the world. That is the job of light walkers, of light workers, is to create networks of light across the world. And they can be physically, but more importantly, it can be spiritually. So, we're going to go into a place of meditating with Archangel Melchizedek. Those of you that are tired will go into a place of sleeping. But anybody want to share or ask any questions before we do that? It'd be lovely to hear a couple of reflections from what's been coming up for you. So if you just want to share that, what's the awarenesses that you're having from this law of one? This really deeply beautiful law that takes us to some interesting places. Let's just see, you're more than welcome to put it on there. I'm just getting the phone ready to record the meditation. Very lovely. If anybody wants to share, you can do it on the chat box. What are you aware of from the law of one? It's standing out for you guys. Let's just see what's coming up for anybody. So I know it's often quite a lot to listen to at this time of night. Lots of physical shifts and a sense of, what's that light? Oh, I'm seeing how it integrates into the jigsaw puzzle. In playing small, you're holding the whole world back. Wow. Definitely food for thought that. It's very true. You're here to be you. Yeah. Yeah, it is a wow that, hey Marie. Okay, I'm not sure if that's a sense of light or a sense of power. Shazam, kapoof. Margot, I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see if anybody else wants to say anything. Otherwise, we're going to go into the meditation. And as always, the meditation will be sent separately for those of you that are on the portal, so you'll be able to get that. Exactly right, Angela. The Merkaba is your portal back to source through space and time. And so when you meditate with your Merkaba and you work with your Merkaba, even just visualize your Merkaba, just, you know, I know you love to draw the sacred geometry, and those that have bought the sacred geometry course, the tools are all there to be able to draw it. No, my dream is to build a permanent culture community, but I already have my family around me. I should probably work and create a community with them. I love that you brought that up, Lana, because those that you're with need to be the community you start with, rather than constantly wanting to be with a different community. And it can shift and change, and there absolutely is. There's many spiritual teachings that we're born into a family and then we find our true family. And that's all true, but being in communal living with the ones that you're living with is really, really, really valuable. Oh, Cheryl, isn't that amazing? It's not many souls that get to say that, and I love it when I can hear that everything is in alignment in my life right now. Yeah. Perfect. All right, let's go into meditation and we'll spend a few minutes doing that. And so I know it gets a little bit late now, and so some of you may be feeling a bit sleepy and tired. And if you fall asleep, that's also okay. But try and maybe sit up and give yourself permission to notice the shift of energy and frequency in you. We'll be working with Archangel Melchizedek, who's essentially the righteous one. He's the hand of God, and he really is the archangel responsible for spiritual alchemy and transformation. And so he's going to be bringing in some energy and helping remove blockages to your heart, expanding into the Merkaba that can surround you. Right, so let's start with that. Okay, so take a minute and run your hands across your face and across your hair, just around you generally, just allowing yourself to sort of shake off or move away any of the energy that is clinging onto you at this point. Just shake your head, shake your hands, move your shoulders. Just create some movement in your body that allows any stagnant energy that has been connected to you to move around. Just let it fade away as you bring yourself into alignment with the current moment, here and now. Allowing yourself to settle into the air around you. Settling into the air around you. That means notice the air around you. Let the air around you hold you. Let the air around you support you. And just bring all your senses to the awareness of the air in you, around you. The air that flows in and out of your body. Can move in through your nose, can move in through your mouth. It moves in through your skin and out. Out through your nose and out through your mouth and out through your skin. In every minute of every day, your physical body is interacting with the air around you. It permeates you, it fuels you, it brings you life. And as you release it, you send life to others. The air that is around you right now is air that has been around others too. Moves across time and space. It continuously shifts. The air you're breathing in now, it's not the air you breathed in just now. And as you hold it and release it, you've transformed it. You do this without thinking, without noticing, without needing to try and do it properly. It just happens. interplay of the air around you with you, and you with the air around you. Take a few deep breaths in and out, just noticing this. Becoming one with the air. Notice the color of the air, the temperature of the air, feeling of moisture in the air. Become aware of the sound of air, the texture of air. The voice of air. No matter your mood, no matter your state, the air is there. As you continue to notice the air around you, imagine your body becoming quite fluid. Imagine your body becoming one with the air. Just softens and intermingles into the air. Imagine yourself becoming the air becoming you. Trillions of magical particles of life held together by a physical form. As you become one with the air, start to allow yourself to use your imagination to transform into any shape, color, form that you would like to. Have some fun, just allowing yourself to magically transform into this shape and then that shape. You can become anything just by imagining it. You have the power to shift and transform continuously. Isn't that fun? As you allow yourself to embrace this truth that you are able to navigate this life in whichever way you want to, that you have the power to be fluid and to shift and to change. Become acutely aware of the energy around you taking on the form of a Merkaba. You can imagine a pyramid starting to form at your knees and moving up to above your head. Huge pyramid of love and light. Become aware of this pyramid and you within it. This pyramid represents focus. It represents the future. It represents force. Not against anything, but in terms of the natural force of love and light. And then you notice another pyramid, this one facing downwards, starting at your shoulders and moving all the way down into the ground. This represents the anchor, stability, connection, truth. Just notice these pyramids surrounding you and the interplay of you and your energy with them. How the air is all held together within this space. When you're ready, these pyramids start to move. The upward facing pyramid starts to spin to the right. The downward facing pyramid starts to spin to the left. They're spinning at the same pace in opposite directions. It feels natural and light. As you sit in the vortex of energy that's created from the spinning energy that they create, you start to notice how it transforms everything within you. It dissolves away all barriers to love, to light, to life. As your personal Merkaba starts to spin or continues to spin, start to notice yourself raising up off the ground, naturally, easily, lightly. You just start to travel up. You travel up to the roof of the building you're in and through it. As you look down, you can see yourself sitting there, but you know you are traveling. Traveling in a way that is perfect for you. And you lift up, and up, and up, always connected, but moving naturally and lightly through time and space. You look around and you notice other souls around you, traveling with you. You can look down and see them sitting or lying in their homes, and you can see their energy connecting in with their Merkaba, floating, spinning, and traveling with you. You smile at these other souls, waving even, noticing so many souls also traveling, journeying with you. The higher you go, the more you notice more and more souls from different places and spaces, different countries, different religions, different philosophies, different perspectives, different experiences, different talents. Yet you're all in your Merkabahs, traveling together. Suddenly you reach a place where you come to a place of stillness. You're in a huge, huge place of love and light. And you realize you've all traveled back to Source. Looking around, you see each soul just opening themselves to receive, share, and be at one with Source energy. You can feel your heart expanding with love. Every part of you opening up to receiving and sharing and connecting. And we're going to be quiet for a minute as you sit with Source and receive any healing, any activation, and any information you need at this point in time. As you receive all that you need at this point in time, start to become aware of making your way back, using your Merkaba to travel back through time and space, coming back to your physical life, coming back to the gift of this time. As you make your way back, you notice all the other souls making their own way back. Kaleidoscope of energy, each carrying with it its own mysterious talents and gifts, wisdom and connections. You smile and wave at each other, knowing as kindred spirits that you may come across each other in the streets or on the internet. And when you do, you will know you are one with them. You can see all these souls making their way back to their bodies. As you move closer, closer and closer to yours. Merging back into your body. You can leave your Merkaba activated as you merge fully into your body, becoming physical once more. Noticing the air around you, moving in and out of your lungs, around your skin. As you move your fingers and toes and your head and your shoulders. And you come back to the here and now, knowing you can go back to source at any time. And as you imagine walking through the days ahead, you will know that you are connected to source and to all the souls that exist in this time and place. And so when you're ready, you can come back to this call. Right. So, don't know how that was for you, but it was quite magical watching it. So, if you're not fast asleep, you come back to here and now. Anybody, there's Linda, she's not asleep. If anybody wants to share anything, you can. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Pleasure, Linda. I'll see you all next week for the law of abundance. Yep. That's what we all want. Pleasure, Margot. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Cheryl. It was beautiful. I had this like magical thoughts going on. It was lovely. All right, sending you all lots of love, lots of peace. Thank you. I went traveling. We're part of the whole synergy. Beautiful. Good night, everybody. Namaste. See you next week. Cheers. Bye.